Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Carl. Welcome to the bathroom. It's Wednesday night, so welcome to the Wednesday scrape. Yeah, gonna have a quick shave. I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so like 48 hours worth of growth, and I got to get shaved up because I'm going back to work tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. My test results came in today. Negative, no COVID-19. Cleared back to regular duty, so back to work tomorrow. I'm gonna have to admit it was a little bit bittersweet because I kind of like the idea of being off until the 21st, even though I was going to get a little bit bored. But hey, any day is a better, what is it? I don't know. Any day is good when you're not at work. I don't know. Anyway, on to the shave. So, had a viewer ask a question in the comments on my last video. Asked whether or not I had used the Razorine and what I thought, how I thought it compared to regular shavette. So I told him I'd use it in this video, my next video. So here it is. I'll be using the Razorine. Right? Is that what it's called? I can't even remember. Razorine. I'm sure I'm butchering the name. Anyway, kind of the Darby Extra second use. As I was catching up on some of my YouTube videos, I heard my good buddy Nomeo, Leroy over there at Nomeo Shaves, mentioned Godrej, and I remembered he'd sent me a tube of this, so I dug it out of the closet, and that's what we're going to be doing today. And we will be using the Vanderboss custom synthetic brush, finishing with the Gillette After balm. So anyway, let's get lathering, and I'll talk a little bit about the Razorine. I don't know too much because I'm not a shaving nerd. I'm just a guy who shaves. And when they came out a couple years ago, I liked it. I bought it, and I like shaving with it. Not something I use very often, but I probably should use it more. It's a nice shaver. It's a fancy razor. It's probably one of my fancier pieces of equipment. And even that, it's not as fancy as some of the stuff that's out there. But it's a quality piece of equipment for sure. Beautifully made. And a very efficient shaver. So, comparing it to a regular shavette, I do believe this is easier to use. Just for the mere fact that it's got a top cap, like a DE razor, so it kind of helps you set your angle. So, you get a little bit less chance of coming in at the wrong angle and cutting yourself. It's still possible. I think I've nicked myself pretty good with this one. So it's kind of a baby step up from a DE razor, in my opinion. There is no safety bar, but the blade is definitely not quite as exposed as in a traditional shavette. So the only thing I would say about it, and I've seen that there's newer models out with textured knurled grips, this can get a little bit slick, and when you're shaving, you can't just flip it because of the screw, so it really kind of forces you to shave with your opposite hand. Other than that, it's a great shaver, and I got no complaints about it, and those aren't even really complaints, those are just points. So the quick answer, the simple answer to your question is it easier to use than a traditional shavette? I think so. I may be wrong, everybody may have a different opinion, but I do believe it's a little bit less intimidating, and I think there's a little bit less of a learning curve involved with that than there would be with the traditional shavette. There is a plastic razor, is it the Duane or Duane, which is essentially the same idea. The head is the same, except for it comes on a folding shavette style. So that might be worth investigating if you're interested in checking something like that out before investing in the Razorine. I think it's quite a bit less expensive, although I don't know what the Razorine costs anymore. I don't remember what I paid for it when it first came out anyway. Probably close to 40 or 50 bucks, but it's been a while. Man, I forgot how nice and mentholy this cream is. So yeah, you know, good news came today. Was in the middle of my workout. Got a text from the work wife saying, congratulations, your test is negative. Hers was as well, if you guys are wondering. And she said, report to the office tomorrow at your regular time. And then like a minute or so after she and we got off the phone, because she texted me and I didn't answer because I was working out, so she called me. But like a minute later, I got an email from the big boss that said, hey, your test is negative, report to duty as normal. So back to work tomorrow. We'll see what the day has in store. So not about getting done. Hopefully this won't be too terribly long shave, and hopefully I won't butcher myself. So it'll be a good experiment with the Derby, because like I mentioned in the last video that I used it in the budget shave, these were one of the first blades that I got when I got into wet shaving, because they were pretty easily available. And I had heard that they were good or decent razors, good blades anyway, and they had kind of mixed reviews. Come to find out, like anything in the wet shaving world, it's hit or miss depending on who you're listening to and what their preference is. And I'm not even gonna lie, there are some wet shavers out there who, if it's not super fancy, expensive stuff, they're not interested in it. But I bought them, and I was not a fan of them the first couple times I used them. I didn't feel like they did a great job shaving my coarse stubble. I got a lot of weepers, a few nicks, no matter what razor I used them in. Back then I didn't have a ton of razors like I do now. But I kind of relegated them down to kind of cheaper, lower quality, lower sharpness blades, and used them very rarely. Usually only like in a budget shave or something to that effect. But I'll tell you, I am going to eat my words of days past and admit that they have been a decent blade the past 2 times I've used them, and then so far very effective and smooth and comfortable in the Razorine. So what I probably took as bad equipment, which was kind of common for me in the very beginning, it's not an equipment issue, it's a user error. The fact that I didn't really have good shaving technique and know what I was doing. Now, I'm not saying that those people who had more experience, that their opinions were invalid. I'm just saying that I bought into the belief that these were crappy blades, when in fact they are pretty decent. I mean, they're not the best blade ever, but so far very serviceable. We got one little weeper right there. That's the other thing that's a little tricky with the Razorine. For some reason, it's, for me, this upstroke here at the ditch of the neck is a little awkward. And I think it's just the length of the handle, because in a shavette I can move the handle around so that I can get to where I need to be. Not so much with the Razorine. And it's definitely more comfortable shaving the mustache area than a traditional shavette or a straight razor. Just because of that blade cap. I feel like you're able to kind of scoop out under the nostril easier. And that's the first pass. Very nice. So what else can I tell you guys? That way this doesn't turn into a shaving nerd review video, because you guys know I don't do that. Told you to get the good news about the COVID test. Got caught up on some YouTube videos. Didn't really make a lot of comments on anybody's videos, so I apologize for that, but I was just trying to kind of watch and enjoy. So I watched a few Binomio. I think I watched one of Mati's. There were a couple others. Can't remember off the top of my head though. Workouts are still going good. Back still feels pretty decent. Got in there and did some weights today. Tomorrow will be yoga. Trying to get back into that DDP yoga, mostly just because I know my flexibility is garbage, and all the rucking and lifting weights is making my hips and my IT bands and all those muscles in my lower body really tight. I can feel it through the hip flexors and stuff like that. So trying to get back into the yoga a little bit to get some of that flexibility back, stretch out some of that stuff. That way I don't end up all stoved up. Oh, Saturday, I did probably one of the hardest rucks I've done so far. So I've been rucking about 1 or 2 miles every night after work. And then Saturday is usually my long ruck, where I'll do like 10 miles, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. But the challenge this month was in honor of Memorial Day. It was the Carry the Load challenge. And so this month, to complete the challenge and earn the patch, you have to, the challenge was to ruck with twice your normal rucking weight to a veterans memorial. Luckily, I live a few miles away from one, so that part was easy. So I loaded my ruck up with 60 pounds plus the weight of the water that I carry, which is 70 ounces. So my ruck was just a little over 70 or 60 pounds. And man, let me tell you, that was heavy and it was hard. But that was the point. But I threw on my ruck and I started rucking, and I knew that the memorial was only a mile or so away from the house. And I wanted to put in at least 5 miles. So I started rucking around the parking lot of my apartment complex. And I'll tell you, after 5 or 10 minutes with that weight on my back, I was really beginning to reconsider doing the ruck or doing the extra miles. Like, it just kept crossing my mind to just get the ruck over with, hit the spot at the memorial, and then head home, you know, get it done and get that weight off of my back. It wasn't hurting my back, it was just uncomfortable, and it was heavy and it was hard. And it's one of the hardest rucks I've done so far. Those long distance rucks with the small weight have not been, or not the small weight, but the lighter weight. They're tough. But I never realized how carrying that extra weight would feel, especially since that backpack, or that rucksack, doesn't have any hip straps, so all the weight is on your shoulders. Oh, it was hard and it was uncomfortable, but that was the point, right? And that's what I just kept reminding myself, like, think about the soldiers who carry more weight. You know, I think the average loadout for a combat soldier is between 60 and 70 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. I know a lot of the training rucks are 70-pound rucks, so I'm imagining that's what their loadout is, pretty close to that when they're deployed, if they're rucking. And so I just kept trying to remind myself of that, like why I was doing it, not to earn the patch. That's why, but the point was to honor those men and women who have given their life in sacrifice and service. And so I just kept trying to remember that, and that everything they went through, from the training and the, you know, basic training and all the school and the specialized training that they did for whatever job they had, and then going into combat, like, so much harder than just hauling around 60 pounds at a leisurely pace, because I wanted to earn a little patch, you know? So, but I will say it was tough. I got it done. I was very proud of myself. I got to the memorial, read the names, thought about the soldier that was memorialized in the statue. He died in Afghanistan. And then I rucked back. And I had a mile left, so I walked around the parking lot one last time to make the mile, to make 5 miles. And by the time I was done, I was beat. But it was worth it. Very much so. All right, beautiful. The shave was also very much worth it. Let me get washed out. Very nice. Everything worked beautifully. One little weeper, no real irritation to speak of. The Razorine mows down the stubble as always. The Darby Extra, very serviceable blade. I can't believe I slept on that blade for so long. Is it the best blade in the world? No. I've got nicer blades, but it's a good blade and they're cheap. And so if you haven't tried one in a while, I suggest checking it out. You might be surprised. Let's see what the Alum says. I might be surprised with what the Alum says. Nope, not at all. Little tingle on the neck. That's always pretty standard. And we'll finish it off with the Gillette Sensitive. This is one of the things I want to use up this year. Not because I hate it, just because I have too much stuff. And I figure the stuff that's easily sourced, I should probably use up. That way, if I ever decide I want to use more of it, I can pick it up locally. But anyway, that's the shave. So thanks for watching. So the consensus is it's a very nice shaver. It's got some advantages and disadvantages over a traditional shavette. But I think there are more advantages to shaving with this than a traditional shavette. If you guys have any opinions, thoughts, or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Share your thoughts about the Razorine and how you think it compares to a regular shavette. That's all I got. Thank you very much for all your time, for all your support, all your comments, all the prayers and well wishes that you guys were sending up while I was waiting for my test results. I really appreciate you guys. No matter what you do, go spend some time with your friends and family because it's really important. But during these trying times, remember to stay 6 feet or 2 meters apart, just so you don't catch the cooties. Thanks again for all your time. Have a great night. Hope the rest of the week treats you well. I'll see you next time. God bless.